Hey folks, I was going to do a little tour of the cabin of the boat. In case you're interested. Starting at the back, companionway boards. I got a little bit of a plexiglass glass in there so I can see around good. Currently at the moment I'm at Sunset Harbor. Just got done fixing a screwed up anchor set. It's time to turn on my anchor light. That's my little breaker panel, and this panel holds the wire and it comes off with two wire nuts right there. This is an old nail apron that I use to put my binoculars, a horn, radio, a pair of pliers for shackles and stuff and whatever. But the cool thing about it is I cut the belt off of it. It had a belt on it, a nylon belt. I cut it off and then I added some snaps on there, so I take it outside underneath the chart plotter and snap it on the outside when I'm underway. So I originally put 2 snaps in it, but 2 snaps wouldn't hold it, so I had to put 4. So that's kind of where the electronics are. Inside here is where all the wire comes in. Then there's my main cutoff switch, and I have another one for the engine battery bank, which is one engine. In here behind this canvas piece, I've got it snapped on, and then it's got this expanding or stretchy string stuff holding the rest of it. But behind it is the black water tank, and the battery is underneath the black water tank. Black water tank is high, so that I didn't have to do a Y valve and all that. I just have discharge for the bottom, which I keep shut off, and then I can pump out from the outside, so it's Coast Guard compliant. There's my little head. It's been a pretty good one. It's worked out good. This side, I've got one of these organizers for a pickup truck. Goes on pickup truck seat. Had 2 straps. I put snaps on them, cut them off. I had this thing in my pickup for a couple years now, and it was time to come out. And inside I keep my boat papers. I keep owner's manuals for all the electronics and different things, the engine and all that, notepad, and my ship's log. So then it holds pins and that sort of stuff. I also keep my eyeglass cleaner in here somewhere and all that. It's got plenty of compartments for that. I'd like to get a new one. That one's pretty grungy from being in the truck. I'm powering everything with I've got a 280 amp hour lifetime battery, which I really like lifetime batteries. They're cheap and they work good for lithium ion. And I'm using Renogy panels, 2 100 watt ones on top of the cabin, and then I have a Rover 30 amp charge controller. So there's that. Now on this side is the galley. Here I keep different things for the galley. I got these little net bags cheap on Amazon. I got a hook there. I keep my headlamps, couple things. I also keep a spotlight, and I've got a big 12 volt sure enough spotlight that I can plug in outside. I have plug-ins for it. And then these things here I got at Hobby Lobby and just stained them. And then I had to add a piece on the back I glued on. And sorry for the shadow of the boat, of the telephone, but it'll get better when I turn around. But then I made this canvas piece one day when it was rainy and nasty at home. It holds 3 plates and a cutting board. And then in here I have my olive oil and stuff for washing dishes or whatever. As far as the sink, it's just a bar sink. Picked it up somewhere, I can't remember where. Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever, somewhere like that. And then I raised up me just a copper spigot, that because I couldn't really find a spigot that would get all the way toward the center of the thing. Then I got my favorite little camp cast iron skillet that goes from here to my RV, different places. Then I got a couple deep bowls back there, and a couple more plates and a couple more bowls. And then I got my old trusty coffee pot. I've seen many a hunting trip, campfire, and horse riding, escapade, and all that stuff. Many a cup of coffee by a lot of cool people has been drank out of that. Do all my cooking on one of these, just regular old butane cookers, and this one happened to come from West Marine. Now, I don't usually buy overpriced stuff from West Marine, but the other one that I had in my other boat, it took a dump on me, and it was just a camp kind. And I ended up getting a friend of mine one year to run over to West Marine for me and pick this up. And it's been a pretty good one. I like the stainless steel top and stuff. I don't think it's any better other than that than a plain one from Walmart or wherever. Now I keep my trash down there, and then under the companionway and underneath the behind the steps and underneath the cockpit floor, I keep a folding dish bin, my big pot for boiling crabs and stuff like that, popping popcorn, boiling crabs, a little fold up bucket that I've had forever, and extra life jackets. And there's the foot pump for that spigot up there. And I like the foot pump. Now, I've got a 40-gallon tank, and I've been on this boat for 8 days, and I don't think you can see it down there, but it is about, looks like it's 2/3 empty. Now, this is my kill switch for my battery, and behind there is another battery, an AGM battery for my outboard. And that's the kill switch for it. And over here is the fuel tank for the outboard. I've got a blower. I did the installation as best I could according to everything I read for safety and all that. And a lot of people freak out about a gas tank on a boat, but for years and years in the 70s and stuff, they had fuel tanks, gas tanks on there, and as long as you act like you got some sense, I don't see a problem with it. Then here is my fridge, 12-volt fridge, and it has a latch here that I can latch it shut, and then it comes out on full extension slides. And I like the little light on it, and it'll get down and freeze your junk. I messed up and done that a couple times. I froze my stuff, and then I keep a good cooler out in the cockpit also for beer and ice and whatever that you happen to have. Here's a drawer where I keep my silverware and junk like that, lighters and crab crackers and crap like that. I just added this on yesterday. This is just I had these little latches at the house, and so I brought them along, and then I went and picked up this panel. It's one of those laminated pine panels. Then I had an extra piece of this galley rail that I made out of locust for this top. I got an extra piece of it. I put it here. I'm trying to be careful with it till I get back home, because I want to stain it and epoxy the top like I did that one. That one is red oak and locust laminated together. So anyway, then I have the bunks, and it has this space back here that I've determined now that I want to put a board down there so it catches stuff instead of sending it all the way underneath the bunks. I got two little round lights up front here, and a couple of these good little fans with the foam blade. And they put out a lot of air. That's low. It's just got low and high. I kind of wish it had a lower low. That's what I've determined. I had the babies, my grandbabies on here today, so this is Tadpole and teeny tiny little life jackets. Then I've got this little spot here, which I end up putting the dog bed and letting Biscuit sleep there. But when he's not there, it's kind of a catch-all. And this thing is what I've been heating with, and it's way too much. It's the little buddy. They're supposed to be indoor safe, although I smell it. But under here I've got some of these baskets. My wife got several of them, and I keep my clothes, socks, underwear, and t-shirts in one, and jeans and shorts in another. Now what I've realized from having several boats is you always end up with no place to put your shoes. And so when I built this boat, I built a whole nother cubby right here for shoes and catch-all stuff, so it's not in the middle of the floor, rolling around the floor. I keep my foul weather gear, I keep my big Q-beam light there, and a lead for sound and bottom. I've got an old antique lead on rope with the fancy knots at fathoms. That's pretty cool, but I ain't never used it. I just keep it on here for nothing. And then I like music, so I listen to a lot of music, and I bought one of these speakers from Amazon, and it was like 70 bucks, and it's great. As far as I'm concerned, it's just as good as anything else. And I've heard those turtle boxes and stuff, but this one's fine for a third the price. And I keep it down here along with another little speaker that floats, that when I'm out messing around in the water and with friends or something, I have the little speaker out there. Then this is just a cover for your windshield on your car, but I cut it down and made it fit. It ended up fitting perfect up here for these front windows, and it folds out, and the part for and wherever I cut it, I just put some tape on it, but you don't have to. There's nothing to unravel. But the part for your rear view mirror fits perfect right under my lantern. So it goes up like that, and then I put Velcro here and here, so I fold it out and put Velcro. Well, look, it's already stuck to a piece of Velcro. I got another piece behind the courage lantern, so I'll put that up in a minute. Then I put this piece of Velcro that has both sides on it right here, and the reason I did was because when I sit and watch movies on my tablet, I got a pretty big size tablet. It has one of these loops on the back for your hand, and I ended up making it where it would hang it. It hangs it at just the right angle where I can lay with my head right there and pack a couple pillows and sit there and watch TV, and I hook it up to that speaker, Bluetooth it to that speaker, and I've got real good sound. And when 12-inch tablet is only 3 feet from your head, it looks like a big screen. Alright, going on to the bedding. So these cushions are 6-inch cushions for the CT, and I covered them in canvas, and they're a little bit hard. They're marine. This is marine cushion, and they were a little bit hard for me. So my wife went and got this 2-inch memory foam, And then she cut down some pillows to make covers for them, like a sort of like a pillowcase that goes on the whole way. And you can see there that they covered up, and then just my bed's a mess. She'd probably holler at me if she knew. She's crazy about a dab lame straightened up bed. I could care less. Anyway, all right. There I got another extinguisher, and then here I've got a first aid box. And remember that nail apron I was telling you about, the nail pouch? This is the belt for it. It ended up working right. I just screwed it to the wall, and then that way it stays up there. I can unsnap it and take it down, and then I got everything in there I need now. The one day I did need triple antibiotic ointment last week when I dropped a piece of rebar on my foot, it wasn't in here. So they ended up having to pour vodka on it, and that burned like the devil. And I probably said bad words and stuff. Anyway, I'll let you in a second. Then more of the same on this side as it's on the other side. I have to tell y'all a funny story about the baby sippy cup here. So I had Tadpole and Teeny Tiny on here today. That's my two grandboys. One of them's a year and a half old, one of them's about a month old. And the year and a half old one left his sippy cup, and me and his dad hunted all over this boat, tore it completely apart looking for this sippy cup, because he was in here playing in the floor while we were going up the river. And I found it after they left, and it was in a bag of potato chips. So he's learning how to put stuff in things. Like, and it might have been our fault, because when we were looking after him while his mama was having a baby, we had a whole bunch of Tupperware. He likes to play with Tupperware. And we had a whole bunch of Tupperware out on the floor. And we were teaching him the difference between putting stuff in a box and out of a box kind of stuff, you know, because he's just a little tyke. He's just learning things, and it's fun to teach them. Grandkids are a whole lot more fun than regular kids. As far as my curtains here, I made these curtains myself. I got this material. It's just plain old cotton, thin cotton material that I got from Hobby Lobby, and I thought it was kind of nautical and cool. So I made these curtains, and this is just a piece of copper that I brazed some caps on and made the rods with it. And then I sewed Velcro on there so they roll up. Then on the back, I had some gray cloth in a bag at the house, and I put this cloth on the back so that they would, you know, keep light out. And then my wife stuck some Velcro on the bottom so you can stick them to the wall right here, so that it makes a good tight seal to the wall. I know I ain't doing it right. She wanted me to do it with little crinkles in it, so it's just right. I'm about as unjust right as it gets. I'm just as rough as a cob, and she keeps everything neat and nice around the house. And I kind of suck at that. Oh yeah, the net, they're cheap. They're like $10 on Amazon, but they're pretty handy. You can put lemons and limes in there, some hot dog buns, and maybe if you got an overflow of chicken eggs from the house, you can put them in a toboggan and drop them in there so they won't break. And this is the famous Courage Lantern. I'm gonna say man, it had to have been about 15 years ago. Me and my kids were at a yard sale up in Oriental, North Carolina, and they had a lot of cool brass yacht stuff and bronze stuff. And they had this little lantern. There's an old lady sitting there at the table. And I asked her what she wanted for the lantern, and she said, well, that's a special lantern. And I thought to myself, oh, here it comes. It's gonna be a fortune. But I like those little lanterns, those little, what are they? Weems and Plath. Yeah, Weems and Plath yacht lamps. Anyway, she said back in the 70s, she sailed a little 26-foot boat to England, and she had an English accent. And she said back in those days that was unheard of. She did it by herself. And she said every time she would get scared crossing the Atlantic, she would turn her little lantern on, and it gave her courage. And so when she told me that story, kind of a long story, but anyway, she told me that story. I said, really? So what do you want for it? She said, $40. And I said, well, here. And I just gave her $40. And the kid said, why did you pay $40 for that lantern? I said, well, how do you put a price on courage? She said, it give me courage. And so it kind of does. I mean, I'll turn it on, and sometimes I look at it and it gives me courage just because of that lazy experience. Not so much the lamp. The lamp is kind of just a memory of that. And my kids were little, you know, they weren't little, but they were young. And so it's a good memory, and I'll never get rid of that lamp. And it's been in every boat that I've ever owned, and I've owned a few. So I always put the carriage lantern in my boat when I get one. That's the first thing that happens. It gets the carriage lantern. And the kind of cool thing about this yacht lamp is when it's just kind of damp, you wouldn't think it, but that little bitty light, when you light it, that little bitty light warms up this cabin. I don't know how, but it does. And this cabin is about 10 foot wide. I mean, I could put a bunk sideways and make a king size bed in here. It's about 10 foot inside to inside. And from that yellow wall to this companionway door right here is probably about 12 feet. So it's pretty good size boat in the inside, but this gal is real wide for its length. She's a fat bottom girl. And that yellow, I got that off of the Miss tent rack and thought it'd be cool to put it in here. It's the ugliest thing I ever seen. I wouldn't want to tell my wife that because she said it immediately, and I'm pretty stubborn. And I wouldn't want her to know she was right, but she's right. She said when she wakes up in the morning, it's like being slapped in the face when she wakes up and sees it. So that's kind of funny. But anyhow, well, that was a short tour of the little sailing scow, backyard sailing scow, Miss Vickie. So you guys take care. Everybody stay safe and try to have some kind of adventure. You know, go do something cool. Even if you screw up and cause damage, just do it. See y'all.